Let me tell you something. Motivation is cheap. It's everywhere. You can scroll through your phone right now and drown in it. Quotes, videos, speeches, all shouting, believe in yourself. But here's the problem. Belief without behavior is useless. Motivation might get you started, but it will never keep you consistent. Because when the applause fades, when the music stops, and when nobody's watching, it's discipline that decides whether you'll rise or remain average. Let me tell you something most people never understand. Motivation can start the engine, but it cannot keep the car moving. That's where discipline steps in. Motivation is the energy you feel when you hear a powerful speech, when a song lights your soul, or when life shakes you awake with a dream so big it gives you goosebumps. But here's the truth, that energy doesn't last. It fades as quickly as it came. The real test begins after the applause ends, after the excitement disappears, after the fire cools. That's when you meet the one thing that separates dreamers from doers: discipline. See, everyone feels motivated at some point. Everyone has a vision board, a goal list, or a dream that keeps them awake at night. But very few people turn those dreams into reality. Why? Because motivation gets tired. It's emotional. It depends on how you feel. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline doesn't ask for permission. Discipline doesn't wait for inspiration. It just shows up every single day, even when you don't want to. Let's be honest, it's easy to wake up early when you're excited. It's easy to go to the gym when you're feeling pumped. It's easy to work hard when success feels close. But when the excitement fades, when the progress slows down, when nobody is watching, that's when your motivation disappears. And that's when discipline either steps forward or you step back. Discipline is not glamorous. It's quiet, it's repetitive, it's doing the same small, often boring things again and again, without a crowd, without applause, without hype. It's waking up at 5 a.m., not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. It's sticking to the plan when every cell in your body screams to stop. It's saying no to distractions, no to excuses, no to comfort, because you made a promise to yourself that you refuse to break. Most people want the glory, but not the grind. They want the reward, but not the routine. They want to feel inspired, not uncomfortable. But here's the hook. Discipline is not about feeling good. It's about getting better. Motivation may light the spark, but discipline keeps the flame alive when the wind blows. Ask yourself this: how many times have you started something because you felt motivated? A new habit, a goal, a dream, and then quit halfway because you lost the feeling. That's the trap. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a resident. Motivation may knock on your door once in a while, but discipline lives in your house. The people who change their lives, who change the world, who build legacies, they don't wake up every day motivated. They wake up committed. They don't chase feelings. They follow routines. They don't wait for the right mood. They create momentum through action. Every single morning, they make one decision: show up. And that's the key. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about showing up again and again, no matter how many times you fail. Motivation says, do it when you feel ready. Discipline says, do it until it feels right. One lives in emotion, the other lives in execution. Here's another truth most won't tell you. You can be motivated and still fail, but you cannot stay disciplined and not grow, because discipline guarantees progress, even when progress feels invisible. Every rep, every step, every hour compounds, and over time, those small acts of consistency create massive results. That's how empires are built, brick by brick, day after day. You see, the world doesn't reward those who start, it rewards those who finish. Anyone can be motivated on day 1, but by day 100, when the hype is gone, when it's just you versus your excuses, discipline becomes your only weapon. That's when discipline separates the great from the good, the legendary from the ordinary. So when the alarm rings and your body says, just 5 more minutes, discipline says, we don't negotiate with weakness. When doubt whispers, you can't do this, discipline answers, watch me. When comfort calls, take a break, discipline reminds you, comfort is the enemy of growth. That's why I tell people, stop chasing motivation. It's unreliable, it's emotional, it's loud but short-lived. Discipline, on the other hand, is quiet but undefeated. It doesn't speak, it proves. It doesn't promise, it delivers. It doesn't impress, it impacts. And the beautiful thing is, the more you practice discipline, the less you need motivation, because discipline builds character, and character builds consistency. Eventually, your habits take over where your emotions used to rule. You stop relying on how you feel and start depending on who you are becoming. Imagine this. You wake up, not because you're excited, but because you've trained your mind to move. You go to work, not because you feel ready, but because your identity demands it. That's when you stop chasing success and start embodying it. Discipline becomes your language, your rhythm, your power. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. That's not just a quote. It's the foundation of every great success story. Every athlete, every entrepreneur, every leader who built something remarkable did it not through bursts of motivation, but through years of disciplined effort. They showed up when they were tired, when they were doubted, when they were unseen, and that's exactly why they rose. So the next time you feel unmotivated, remember this: you don't need to feel ready to act. You need to act to feel ready. Let your actions feed your confidence. Let your consistency build your strength. Because at the end of the day, motivation may inspire you, but discipline defines you. And when your story is told, it won't be your moments of motivation people remember. It'll be your years of discipline. The mornings you woke up, the nights you stayed up, the times you refused to quit. Because in a world that celebrates excitement, it's discipline that creates excellence. Let me tell you something. Motivation is an emotion, but discipline is a decision. And that single difference defines whether you'll live with excuses or results. Motivation is like a wave. It rises, it excites, it moves you for a moment, but it always comes back down. Discipline is the tide, steady, consistent, and powerful, even when no one notices. The people who build greatness don't rely on the wave. They build on the tide. Motivation depends on your mood. Discipline depends on your mindset. Motivation whispers, I feel like doing it today. Discipline declares, I will do it every day, no matter what. Motivation needs the perfect song, the perfect weather, the perfect feeling. Discipline works in silence, without inspiration, without applause, without external fuel. It's a choice, a commitment to act even when you don't feel like it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Feelings are unreliable. They shift, they fluctuate, they deceive you. One day you feel powerful, the next you feel tired. One moment you're inspired, the next you're lost. If you build your life around feelings, you'll live in a circle, starting and stopping, rising and falling, always chasing that next emotional high. But when you make a decision, a clear, conscious decision, your life begins to move forward with purpose, not emotion. Motivation is easy. It makes you feel good about what you want to do. Discipline is hard because it forces you to do what you need to do. And in life, it's not what you want that changes you. It's what you're willing to do consistently, even when it hurts. That's why I always say, your destiny is written not by your feelings, but by your decisions. Think about it. How many times have you felt motivated to change, to start a new habit, build a business, improve your life, and then 2 weeks later, the energy disappeared, and you were back where you started? That's the danger of emotion-based living. Motivation is the promise. Discipline is the proof. Motivation can inspire you to sign up for the gym, but only discipline will get you there on rainy mornings when your bed feels too comfortable. Motivation can make you plan your dream, but only discipline will make you execute it when progress feels invisible. The truth is, discipline is a test of integrity. It's what you do when nobody's watching. when there's no praise, no camera, no reward. It's the battle between your feelings and your future, and your decision decides who wins. Motivation might excite the crowd, but discipline builds the character that keeps performing after the crowd leaves. Here's the hook. Motivation comes from the outside. Discipline comes from within. Motivation is external, triggered by words, music, videos, or moments. Discipline is internal, forged by self-respect, purpose, and an unshakable decision to become who you said you would be. Motivation fades when life gets hard. Discipline sharpens when life gets harder. That's why the most successful people in the world aren't the most motivated. They're the most disciplined. They don't wait to feel ready. They decide they're ready. They don't chase moods. They build momentum. Every day, they make small, deliberate decisions that move them closer to their vision. They've learned that feelings follow action, not the other way around. If you wait to feel right before doing the work, you'll never move. The secret is to start first. The feeling will catch up later. That's how discipline works. It's not about being driven by emotion. It's about being guided by commitment. The athlete doesn't always feel like training. The writer doesn't always feel inspired to write. The entrepreneur doesn't always feel confident to sell. But they all make one powerful decision. They show up anyway. That decision, repeated daily, transforms ordinary people into extraordinary performers. And the beauty of discipline is this: once you practice it long enough, it becomes instinct. You stop debating with yourself. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop waiting for the mood to strike. Your actions turn automatic because you've built a system stronger than your emotions. That's when your results become unstoppable. Most people lose the battle because they wait for motivation to knock on their door. But motivation is unpredictable. It comes late. It leaves early. Discipline, however, is loyal. It never abandons you if you keep it alive. It's not emotional fuel. It's a mental framework. It tells your body what to do, not the other way around. Think of discipline as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it grows. Every time you do something hard when you don't feel like it, you strengthen that muscle. And slowly, your emotions begin to obey your decisions. That's when you shift from being a person who reacts to life to a person who directs it. Motivation says, I feel good, so I'll act. Discipline says, I'll act, so I'll feel good. That's the secret the world doesn't teach. Action breeds confidence, movement creates energy, and consistency builds belief. Discipline transforms chaos into clarity, emotion into execution, and dreams into daily progress. So, when life gets heavy, when fatigue whispers, rest a little longer. Remind yourself, feelings are temporary, but decisions are permanent. The way you feel in a moment will change 100 times, but the decisions you make will shape your future forever. Make them wisely. There will be days when your motivation vanishes, when nothing feels inspiring, when everything inside you wants to stop. But that's the exact moment when discipline becomes your weapon. That's the moment when success is built, not in excitement, but in endurance. Because greatness is never a product of emotion, it's a product of decision. When you decide that quitting isn't an option, that showing up is non-negotiable, and that your goals matter more than your mood, something inside you shifts. You stop chasing motivation, and you start living with direction. You become consistent, focused, unstoppable. You stop needing the fire because you become the fire. That's the power of discipline over motivation. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a choice. And every choice you make, every action you take, every time you move despite the noise in your head, you build something that emotion can never replace. Character. And character, my friend, is what separates the ones who dream from the ones who deliver. Motivation is temporary, but discipline is permanent. That's the truth most people don't want to hear, because motivation feels good. It excites you. It energizes you. It makes you believe that anything is possible. But that feeling doesn't last. Motivation is like a matchstick. It burns bright for a few seconds, and then it's gone. Discipline, however, is the fire that never goes out. Slow, controlled, constant. It doesn't depend on excitement. It depends on decision. It depends on consistency. It depends on you. Let's be honest, motivation is addictive. Everyone loves the rush of inspiration. That moment when you watch a video or hear a story that makes you say, "From tomorrow, I'll change my life." But what happens when tomorrow comes? What happens when you wake up and that energy is gone? The alarm rings, your bed feels warm, your body feels tired, and suddenly all that motivation disappears. That's when most people quit, because they never built the habit of showing up without feeling inspired. That's where discipline separates the committed from the comfortable. Here's the hook. The motivation may open the door, but only discipline keeps it open. You can start anything with emotion, but you can only finish it with structure. You can't depend on your mood to do something that requires mastery. Feelings are temporary. Discipline is permanent because it's not emotional, it's mechanical. It's a system that works even when you don't feel like it. Think about it this way. Motivation is the spark that gets you to the gym, but discipline is what keeps you going when your body aches. Motivation helps you start the business, but discipline is what keeps it alive when profits slow down. Motivation makes you plan your dream, but discipline is what makes you execute when nobody's clapping for you. The people who rely on motivation live in bursts. They sprint, then stop. The disciplined move steadily. They walk, but they never stop. And over time, steady always beats emotional. Discipline doesn't shout. It doesn't post on social media. It doesn't announce itself. It just shows up. It works in silence, behind the scenes, stacking wins one after another until suddenly everyone notices. And when they do, they call it overnight success. But those who've lived it know it wasn't overnight. It was built in the dark, powered by quiet consistency, fueled by discipline. You see, motivation depends on your environment. You need the right song, the right crowd, the right words to feel inspired. Discipline doesn't care about conditions. Rain or shine, tired or energized, happy or broken, it keeps moving. Discipline doesn't need inspiration because it has intention. It doesn't wait for the mood to strike. It creates momentum through action. The truth is, discipline gives you control over your life. Motivation gives you moments, but discipline gives you direction. When you live on motivation, you're always reacting to life, chasing the next wave of inspiration. But when you live with discipline, you're driving your own ship. You're not at the mercy of your feelings anymore. You act not because you feel like it, but because you've built a code that you refuse to break. That's what separates greatness from mediocrity. Average people chase emotion. Successful people build endurance. Average people start fast. Successful people finish strong. Average people need to feel inspired. Successful people are driven by purpose, because purpose is permanent and so is discipline. And the beauty of discipline is that it compounds. Every small act of consistency adds up, even when it doesn't seem to matter. You wake up early today, it feels small. You study for an hour, it feels small. You stay focused when others slack off, it feels small. But months later, those small acts become massive advantages. Discipline multiplies results quietly, while motivation fades loudly. Here's another hook. Motivation is a guest. Discipline is family. Motivation visits you once in a while. Discipline lives with you, eats with you, sleeps with you. Motivation knocks. Discipline builds the house. Motivation talks about goals. Discipline creates outcomes. When you make discipline your lifestyle, success stops being accidental. It becomes predictable. There will always be days when you don't feel like it. Days when the excitement dies, when fatigue takes over, when the results don't show up fast enough. That's when you must remember your feelings are temporary, but your goals are not. You don't need to feel good to do good. You just need to move, because discipline isn't about emotion, it's about execution. And execution doesn't care about mood, it only cares about movement. Most people stop when motivation dies, but those who understand discipline know that's the moment when the real work begins. Anyone can act when they're inspired. The question is, can you act when you're not? That's what builds resilience, confidence, and success. The ability to keep going without needing to feel good about it. And over time, something incredible happens. Discipline starts to replace motivation. The actions that once required effort become automatic. The things that felt hard become habits. You stop needing to push yourself because your routine starts to pull you. That's when you evolve from being emotionally driven to being purpose-driven. People often say, I've lost my motivation, and I always tell them, good, because now you can finally find your discipline. Motivation is temporary fuel. Discipline is a permanent engine. Motivation is noise. Discipline is rhythm. Motivation is loud in the beginning. Discipline is quiet but undefeated in the end. When you train your mind to act regardless of emotion, you unlock freedom. You stop being controlled by moods, distractions, or comfort. You start making progress, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. And that's what makes you unstoppable, because while others wait to feel ready, you're already moving. While they chase a spark, you're building a fire. So when motivation disappears, and it will, don't panic. Let it go. You don't need it. What you need is the decision to keep showing up, because at the end of the day, success doesn't belong to the most motivated. It belongs to the most disciplined, the ones who keep walking long after everyone else has stopped. That's the power of permanence. That's the voice of discipline, steady, silent, but always speaking louder than motivation ever could. Motivation speaks, but discipline delivers. That's the difference between talking about success and living it. Motivation makes noise. It fills rooms. It echoes in speeches. It stirs your emotions. But discipline works in silence. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need attention. It just gets things done. You can listen to all the motivational speeches in the world, but until you build discipline, nothing changes, because words might inspire you, but only action transforms you. Motivation says, I will do it someday. Discipline says, I'm doing it now. Motivation gives you the feeling of progress. Discipline gives you the results of progress. Motivation loves comfort. Discipline loves consistency. One is temporary sound, the other is permanent structure, and that's why most people talk about what they want to do. They're motivated. But the few who actually do it, they're disciplined. Here's the truth. It's easy to get excited about success when someone tells you that you can do it. It's easy to feel powerful when the music is playing, the lights are bright, and the crowd is cheering. But when the noise fades, when it's just you, your dreams, and your doubts, that's when motivation disappears. That's when discipline becomes your only friend. Discipline doesn't talk, it acts. It doesn't promise, it performs. It doesn't get loud, it gets results. Motivation sounds beautiful in theory, but life isn't lived in theory. It's lived in repetition. Every day showing up, every day doing what needs to be done, every day putting one brick on top of another. That's discipline. The results people envy are built in silence. In those hours nobody sees. In those moments nobody applauds. In those sacrifices nobody celebrates. Motivation might fill your mind with dreams, but discipline fills your life with achievements. And here's the hook. Motivation can inspire you to say something, but discipline empowers you to become something. Anyone can talk like a winner for a few minutes, but only the disciplined can live like one for years. Motivation fuels your tongue. Discipline fuels your transformation. Think about it. Motivation says, I'll try. Discipline says, I'll finish. Motivation gets you to start reading the book. Discipline makes you finish the last page. Motivation tells you to plan your goals. Discipline wakes you up every day to chase them. Motivation talks about change. Discipline creates change. Because discipline doesn't care about how you feel. It only cares about what you've committed to. The world doesn't remember people who were motivated. It remembers those who delivered. The speeches that inspired you are forgotten if they never led to action. The plans that motivated you mean nothing if they never turned into results. Discipline doesn't need to speak loudly because its evidence is everywhere. In success stories, in growth, in mastery, in legacy. Motivation sounds good, it gives you hope, but discipline gives you proof. Motivation tells you that you can be great. Discipline shows you how to become great. Motivation says, imagine your dream life. Discipline says, work for it. Motivation promises rewards. Discipline pays them. You've probably met people who are always excited, always planning, always talking about what they're going to do. But years go by and nothing changes. They're full of words, but empty of results. And then there are those who don't talk much. They just move quietly. They build, they execute, they sacrifice. And one day, everyone looks up and says, how did they do it? The answer is simple. They replaced talk with task. They replaced motivation with discipline. Discipline doesn't crave recognition. It doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't need inspiration to begin. It just knows every day is an opportunity. Every action is a step. Every decision is a brick in the structure of success. While motivation is busy talking about the mountain, discipline is already climbing it. Here's another hook. Motivation feeds your ego. Discipline feeds your purpose. Motivation wants attention. Discipline wants results. Motivation makes you feel good. Discipline makes you become good. And that's the gap where most people lose the battle. They chase the feeling instead of chasing the fulfillment. They want to look like they're working hard instead of being the person who does. There's nothing wrong with motivation. It's a good start. It's the spark that lights the fire. But if you never add discipline, that fire dies before it cooks anything. Motivation is temporary noise. Discipline is permanent movement. Motivation might get you applause, but discipline earns you respect because results speak louder than promises ever could. The people who succeed in life don't announce every move. They don't need to tell the world what they're doing. They're too busy doing it. Their results do the talking. That's the power of discipline. It's quiet. It's patient. It's focused. It's not concerned with who's watching. It knows that one day, when the results appear, everyone will understand what the silence was for. And when people finally see the outcome, they call it luck. But it wasn't luck. It was 1,000 small acts of discipline. It was showing up when nobody cared. It was staying up when everyone else slept. It was sacrificing comfort for consistency. That's what real success is built on. The quiet grind that nobody applauds but everybody admires later. When it's all said and done, motivation will have given you moments. Discipline will have given you milestones. Motivation will have given you excitement. Discipline will have given you excellence. Motivation will have made you dream. Discipline will have made you deliver. Because in the end, talk will fade. Emotions will fade. Hype will fade. But the results you built through discipline will speak long after you're gone. That's why motivation speaks, but discipline delivers. Motivation excites you, but discipline transforms you. That's the difference between a spark and a flame, between wanting change and becoming it. Motivation feels good. It rushes through your veins. It lifts your spirit. It makes you believe that this time you'll finally do it. But transformation doesn't happen in moments of excitement. It happens in moments of endurance. It happens when you keep going long after that excitement is gone, because motivation might inspire you to move, but discipline makes sure you never stop moving. Motivation can change how you feel. Discipline changes who you are. Motivation whispers, "You can do it." Discipline responds, "I will do it no matter what." Motivation gives you dreams. Discipline gives you direction. You can't build a new life on emotion. It must be built on execution. Because the truth is, motivation lives in the mind, but discipline lives in your habits. And your habits are what define your future. Here's the hook. Motivation wakes you up, but discipline builds you up. Motivation can get you started, but only discipline will keep you consistent. Excitement can make you take a step, but discipline makes you walk the whole journey. That's why so many people feel inspired, but so few ever transform. They feel the spark, but they never feed the fire. Transformation is not a product of hype. It's a product of hard choices. It's about doing what must be done when you least feel like doing it. It's about saying no to excuses, no to comfort, no to the easy way out. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you become a little stronger, a little wiser, a little closer to the person you were meant to be. Motivation gives you a reason. Discipline gives you results. Motivation gives you hope. Discipline gives you habits. You can be motivated and still remain the same person. But once you embrace discipline, change becomes inevitable. Because discipline reshapes your thinking, reprograms your routine, and rebuilds your identity. It doesn't just inspire you, it evolves you. Most people think they need motivation to transform, but they've got it backwards. You don't need to feel inspired to change. You need to start changing to feel inspired. Action creates emotion. Momentum creates motivation. When you act consistently, the excitement you once chased begins to come from within you. You no longer wait for a push. You become the push. That's the quiet power of discipline. Transformation is never loud. It doesn't happen in public. It happens in private. It's those late nights when you choose focus over distraction. It's those early mornings when you show up even when nobody's watching. It's those countless moments when you could have quit but didn't. That's where transformation hides, in the invisible discipline that builds visible success. Motivation gives you a taste of who you could be. Discipline makes you become that person. And here's the real challenge. Transformation doesn't feel like success at first. It feels like struggle. It feels like sacrifice. It feels like doing the same hard thing over and over again without seeing immediate results. But those are the very moments that are shaping you. Discipline doesn't work instantly, but it works permanently. Every time you choose to do what's hard instead of what's easy, you rewrite your identity. You stop being the person who tries and start becoming the person who does. That shift from emotion to execution is the foundation of transformation. Motivation might make you say, "One day I'll change." Discipline makes you say, "Today I already have." Here's another hook. Motivation tells you to dream big. Discipline teaches you to start small. And it's those small, disciplined steps that eventually build extraordinary change. The biggest transformations never come from one big decision. They come from 1,000 small, quiet choices made consistently over time. The power isn't in doing something once, it's in doing it until it becomes part of you. Think about the greatest athletes, leaders, and creators. They're not driven by constant motivation. They're driven by relentless discipline. They understand that transformation is not about feeling inspired every day. It's about showing up every day, especially when you're not inspired. That's how average turns into exceptional. That's how temporary effort turns into lasting growth. The truth is, motivation fades fast. It's like sugar. It gives you a rush, but then it leaves you empty. Discipline is like nutrition. It sustains you. It builds you from the inside out. It strengthens your mind, sharpens your focus, and expands your capacity to endure. That's why people who rely only on motivation keep restarting, but people who rely on discipline keep rising. When you build discipline, you build trust with yourself. You start believing your own promises. You stop making excuses because you've trained your mind to act, not react. That trust becomes confidence, and that confidence becomes transformation. The more disciplined you become, the less you depend on emotion to move forward. You no longer chase motivation. You create momentum. Transformation doesn't happen because you feel inspired. It happens because you make decisions that align with your future, not your feelings. Every act of discipline is a declaration that your purpose is bigger than your mood, your vision is stronger than your weakness, and your future is worth the fight. So when motivation fades, and it always does, don't panic. That's not the end of your progress. It's the beginning of your growth, because when the excitement disappears, what remains is your choice. Do you stop because you no longer feel inspired, or do you continue because you've made a decision? That's the question discipline answers every day. Motivation is a feeling that comes and goes, but discipline is a force that stays and grows. It changes not just your actions, but your mindset, your character, your reality. It takes the dreamer inside you and turns them into a doer. It replaces hope with habits and potential with progress. It doesn't just make you feel good about your future, it makes you ready for it. The people who transform their lives aren't the ones who wait for motivation. They're the ones who decide that no matter how they feel, they'll keep moving. They build their lives around consistency, not emotion. And that's why, while others keep starting over, they keep breaking through. Because motivation might excite you, but only discipline will transform you into everything you were meant to become. Anyone can start when they're motivated, but only the disciplined cross the finish line. That's the truth most people don't want to hear, because starting feels exciting, but finishing demands endurance. Motivation gets you off the ground, but discipline carries you across the storm. It's easy to begin when the music is loud and the crowd is cheering, but when the noise fades and the grind gets heavy, that's where the real test begins. Discipline is what separates the ones who talk about dreams from the ones who live them. It's the silent force that turns intention into achievement. Motivation gives you a spark, but discipline builds the engine. The start of every journey feels thrilling, new energy, new goals, new hope, but then comes resistance. The late nights, the doubts, the rejections, the failures. This is where motivation dies and discipline is born. Because when your emotions no longer support your ambition, only structure, focus, and persistence can take you forward. Here's the hook. Motivation might get you in the race, but discipline decides whether you'll finish it or not. Motivation is for the beginning. Discipline is for the becoming. Every finish line in life is guarded by struggle, exhaustion, and self-doubt. The undisciplined stop there. They say, maybe it's not for me. But the disciplined, they whisper to themselves, one more step. They move not because they feel strong, but because they've trained themselves to move anyway. That's the quiet, unseen difference between people who almost make it and people who actually do. When you rely on motivation, you'll only move when it feels good. But when you rely on discipline, you'll move even when it hurts. Discipline is the muscle that grows every time you do what you don't want to do. It's the decision to show up when the bed feels warmer, to work when distractions call your name, to push when your mind says stop. Because the finish line doesn't reward the most excited, it rewards the most consistent. Here's something powerful. Every successful person you admire once stood where you are, tired, uncertain, unmotivated. The difference is they didn't stop there. They understood that motivation can open the door, but only discipline can walk you through it. They didn't wait to feel ready. They made themselves ready through repetition. That's how champions are built, not by emotional highs, but by daily habits. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you no longer see the results you expected, because results take time, and time tests patience. The world is full of people who started with fire but ended with ashes. They had dreams, but they couldn't endure the delay. They wanted quick results, not slow growth. But discipline teaches you to love the process as much as the reward. It tells you that progress is not always visible, but it's always happening. Motivation screams, "Run fast," but discipline whispers, "Keep running." Motivation may be the reason you begin, but discipline is the reason you stay. It teaches you that success isn't about speed, it's about stamina. You don't have to be the fastest, you just have to refuse to quit. The world remembers finishers, not starters. And the finish line, my friend, only belongs to the disciplined. The truth is, most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they're inconsistent. They mistake excitement for commitment. They think the first step guarantees the last. But life doesn't reward the one who starts the strongest. It rewards the one who stays the longest. That's what discipline gives you, staying power. The power to keep showing up when everything inside you says don't. Think about it. A gym full of people in January, full of motivation, but come March, most are gone. What happened? The motivation wore off, but discipline never took over. The ones still training months later aren't necessarily more talented. They're more trained in consistency. They've built a rhythm stronger than emotion. They understand that motivation is temporary fuel, but discipline is a permanent engine. Another hook. Motivation is about feelings. Discipline is about follow-through. Feelings change, but follow-through compounds. Discipline compounds success over time, like interest on effort. Every day you keep going adds a layer to your strength, a layer to your skills, a layer to your identity, until one day, what once felt impossible becomes effortless. That's the reward discipline gives. Not applause, but evolution. When you become disciplined, you don't chase results, you attract them. You stop asking, when will it happen? And start saying, I'll keep going until it does. Because you understand that the goal isn't to finish fast, it's to finish well. Every repetition, every failure, every long night is a brick in the foundation of something unbreakable, your character. Motivation can inspire you to act, but discipline builds who you become in the process. And that's the part most people miss. The finish line is never just about achievement, it's about transformation. You don't come out of discipline the same way you entered it. It refines you, humbles you, strengthens you. It teaches you how to suffer with purpose and how to endure with grace. When everyone else stops running, the disciplined keep going. Not because they're stronger, but because they've mastered the art of persistence. They've trained their mind to obey purpose, not feelings. They understand that pain is not a signal to stop. It's proof they're still in the race. The moment motivation fades is the moment discipline begins its work. And that's when greatness starts forming. So here's the truth. Motivation is the starting line, but discipline is the finish line. You can't win if you don't endure. You can't endure if you don't train your mind to stay steady when emotions shift. You can't become unstoppable until you stop depending on how you feel. Because success doesn't care about your feelings, it cares about your consistency. When you cross that finish line in business, in fitness, in life, you'll look back and realize it wasn't the days of excitement that got you there. It was the days of discipline, the mornings you didn't want to move, the nights you didn't want to work, the sacrifices nobody saw. That's where victory is born. Motivation might have made you start running, but discipline is what made you unstoppable